WCW had a rich history of outstanding talent, with many interesting feuds between legendary performers. Various regimes loaded the roster with a plethora of Hall of Famers on the roster at various stages in their careers. The WCW shows basically look like a dream card of spectacular names facing each other all over the show. However, only a select list of feuds get remembered fondly for delivering strong results and having a fantastic ending. Every wrestling rivalry has the expectations of finishing at a peak after getting the audience invested for months and potentially years. But that is rarely the case, especially in WCW. Each of the following WCW feuds deserves credit for being amongst the best in company history and ending with perfect closing matches. Welcome to Honor Wrestling Club. In today's video we'll be counting down the 10 best WCW feuds that ended with perfect final matches. However, before we crack on with the list, I'd just like to firstly take a moment to welcome you to Honor Wrestling Club. It really means a lot that you're here with us today. And whilst you are here, be sure to click that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any of the fun content that we produce here at Honor Wrestling Club. Welcome to the club. Now, without further ado, let's crack on with the list with number 10, Goldberg vs Diamond Dallas Page, which was Goldberg's best program. And WCW managed to tell a rare babyface versus babyface story with a perfect ending. 1998 featured both Goldberg and Diamond Dallas Page reaching new peaks with the audience as a mega babyfaces. Goldberg would defend the WCW Championship against DDP in a 1-month program with the fans split right down the middle. A story like this required a match delivering, since the anticipation was a stronger part of the build. Goldberg would have his best WCW match, retaining the title over Page in an outstanding match at Halloween Havoc 1998. WCW hit the right keys for this to work perfectly as a great match with both talents coming out better for it. However, WCW would correct themselves for this by cutting the feed short to the pay-per-view to most of the people viewing it, owing to other matches on the show going long. Oh, WCW. In number 9, we have Ricky Steamboat vs Ric Flair, which had legendary series ending well. And Flair winning the feud made logical sense as he was the top overall WCW star. The iconic series of matches between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat helped put the WCW brand on the map. Both wrestlers brought the best out of each other to raise the bar in professional wrestling, with a stronger work rate than anything else going on at the time. Steamboat would score more victories over Flair before reaching the end of that specific feud at WrestleWar 1989. Flair winning another must-watch classic match was the ideal ending to move Flair forward as the flag bearer of WCW. In number 8, we have Saturn vs Raven, which paid off the story of Raven's flock ending, and was an extremely underrated mid-card feud which had a tremendous payoff. One of the most underrated storylines and acts for WCW featured Raven leading his flock faction. Raven would verbally and physically abuse other members of the flock like a bully, which caused Saturn to turn against him for a babyface run, wanting to dismantle the group forever. Another great layer was overlooked flock member Billy Kidman getting sick of Raven's torment heading into Raven vs Saturn. The stipulation of the flock ending if Raven lost made it perfect when Kidman helped Saturn defeat Raven to elevate them both as faces. In number 7, we have Booker T vs Scott Steiner, which closed out the feud on the final Nitro episode, as WWE was running this final Nitro episode and still managed to provide a satisfyingly perfect ending for the feud. One of the final great WCW rivalries saw Booker T and Scott Steiner feud over the WCW Championship. Both wrestlers mirrored each other, moving from dominant tag team wrestlers to breakout mid-carders to the final 2 WCW main event superstars. Steiner winning the WCW Championship from Booker made him a bigger star in the final few months. However, it made more sense to have Booker win the feud to end the WCW chapter of his career as the fans' choice for WCW champion while WWE was running the event. And definitely had nothing to do with the fact that Booker T was willing to come in straight away and work and basically let them buy out his contract and Steiner wanted to sit at home. Nothing to do with that whatsoever. In number 6, we have Sting vs Cactus Jack, told new form of storytelling with hardcore wrestling, and it was Mick Foley's breakout WCW feud, which featured him using weapons before that became commonplace. The WCW chapter of Mick Foley's career as Cactus Jack saw him moving up the card for a shocking feud with Sting. WCW management wanted to showcase a new side of Sting as WCW champion by having the babyface in colourful face paint show a grittier style. Cactus attacked Sting with weapons before that was as common made fans care more about Foley. WCW gave them one major pay-per-view match to pay it off with, as Sting channeled more violence to beat Cactus in his own game at Beach Blast 1992 in a Falls Count Anywhere match. In at number 5, we have Ric Flair vs Terry Funk, was Flair's best babyface feud, as both wrestlers were in the zone for an epic rivalry with very intense storytelling. Terry Funk made this feud personal with Ric Flair via vicious attacks, which made their feud in WCW a classic one. Flair entered a more violent feud with Punk after the technical wrestling masterpieces against Ricky Steamboat. The big payoff was an I Quit match at Clash of the Champions 9 that saw Funk giving him and vocally quitting when Flair placed him in the figure 4 leg lock. Flair fighting from behind and showing a more underdog side helped make fans care deeper about his redemption in the story. In number 4, we have Diamond Dallas Page vs Raven, which was a perfect mid-card feud, and two wrestlers benefited from Raven losing after months of build. WCW gave a lot of time to the rivalry between Raven and Diamond Dallas Page in 1998. Page was a rare WCW performer to work with the main eventers such as Hogan and Randy Savage, whilst also having upper mid-card feuds with the names such as Raven. Both wrestlers would exchange victories in outstanding matches until the culmination in a Bowery death match at Slamboree 1998. Page won the match after Mortis stopped the flock from getting involved. Raymond bullying Mortis for months saw him unmasking as Canyon after helping DDP win the violent feud. In number 3, we have Scott Steiner vs Goldberg, which made Scott into a true main event star. Whilst it is universally agreed that WCW was awful in the year 2000, this was a major bright spot for the company at the time. Going into the year 2000, Goldberg was still considered a top WCW star. Despite the company falling apart and losing many of their other top stars, Scott Steiner got elevated into a top spot, and this provided the perfect timing to enter into a personal rivalry with Goldberg. Wild moments like Steiner handcuffing Goldberg and attacking his girlfriend in front of him set up a no DQ match at Fall Brawl 2000. WCW would pull the trigger on putting over Steiner by having him choke out Goldberg with a pipe in hand for the Steiner recliner in a decisive victory for Scott. In number 2, we have Sting's Squadron versus the Dangerous Alliance, which perfected War Games, as Paul Heyman's evil faction finally lost to Sting's babyfaces was genius. WCW pushed the Dangerous Alliance as the top heel faction with Paul Heyman leading a slew of credible names. Sting was the main babyface struggling to keep up with Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Steve Austin, Bobby Eaton, Larry Zbyszko and Medusa, who were all aligned under Heyman's leadership. The feud culminated in a War Games match, with Sting rallying fellow babyfaces Ricky Steamboat, Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham and Nikita Koloff. Sting's squadron all performed to an incredibly high level to defeat the Dangerous Alliance in the most universally acclaimed War Games match at Wrestle War 1992. And at number 1, we have Ric Flair vs Vader, which was flawless title versus career storytelling, and WCW made their fans invest in Flair dethroning the most dominant heel around. Vader became the top heel wrestler in the early 90s for WCW as a dominant WCW champion. Names such as Sting, Cactus Jack and Davey Boy Smith couldn't win feuds over the monster heel. In 1993, following his WWE stint, Ric Flair returned to WCW as a beloved hero coming home. Starrcade 1993 featured Flair putting his career on the line for one shot at ending Vader's reign. Harley Race managing Vader and having a long history as Flair's rival added to this story. WCW fans were incredibly emotional when Flair scored the massive win over Vader to beautifully pay off the feud. And there you have it, there's our list. So what do you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. What do you think is the best WCW feud that ended in an absolutely incredible match? Be sure to let me know down below. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click the like button and the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of the fun content that we produce here at Honor Wrestling Club. Be sure to share this video around with your friends, open them up to the wonderful wider world of professional wrestling and the stories it's capable of telling. However, that's all for now, so I'd just like to thank you for watching and welcome you to the club. See ya!